What's up to another episode, another podcast of Trailer Park Boys, my favorite podcast ever. This is number two, and this is the last of today's videos I have to make. So yes, in episode number two, we have I need to put in the date, but I don't have it, so fuck it. Right, we have a. It's kind of cool that we're getting a at the beginning we're getting a re-explanation of the podcast because how many people are going to be if they see that there's a second one, some people are not going to be watching the first one. I'm going to focus on the first episode, on the second episode. Not everybody has enough time like me. Should we redo this video because of the shitty beginning? Nah, fuck it. So yeah, so we re-explain what's a podcast, so that's kind of cool for people that miss it. Uh, they fight about the hosting. So Bubble, you said I'm the host, and Julian said now you're the co-host, and Ricky's like, why can't I be host? It's kind of cool because we got a portion of Ricky trying to host, and he fails, so it's funny. Right away they're getting into news. It's kind of crazy that they only have 2 minutes per week, and sure, some weeks nothing's gonna happen, but some weeks a lot is gonna happen, and 2 minutes isn't that much. Let's talk about Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby at a time was facing a trial because he had a lot of victims. They were talking about 50 victims against him. They're saying at 50 victims you did something wrong. There's something you did for sure. Okay, it's kind of cool seeing this. I just realized I'm missing one earbud. Shit. It's kind of cool that they're mentioning this because a lot of people they would stay away from that kind of news because it's not very pleasant, right? We have Julian. Oh yo, and it's funny. It's so funny. Wait a sec. We have Julian who is getting a lot of girls. Talking about Bill thing with the money and the famous how famous he is, he wouldn't need to use drugs to get ladies, right? And Julian's like, all you need to throw at girls are pudding, Jill pudding, and they'll fall into your arm. And then we know, kind of cool that they're leaning in the character. Like Julian gets a lot of girls, Bubble doesn't. So it's like not every Bubbles like not everybody's like you, Julian. Not everybody can throw pudding around and get the girls. I thought I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really funny. We have this where am I? Where am I? We got a Bruce Jenner. Bruce Jenner back then. Well, Kathleen Jenner. Back then, he was getting the operation. That was kind of the news. And again, it's kind of a testament to how much the world is changing. I have this thought of liquid I wanted to do. So again, we're talking about Bruce Jenner becoming Caitlyn Jenner, which was a success. He became Caitlyn Jenner, or she became Caitlyn Jenner. Not sure how it works, but yeah. So there's even a mention of the he-she dilemma. Well, how does it work? And it's kind of cool because Rick and Julian are like, yo, if he's happy or if she's happy, fuck it, do whatever you want, right? And that's super like this was in 2018. So I don't remember how accepting or how the pronoun word was back then, but it wasn't as much as it is today. So again, kind of cool, kind of like lovely that we have this. It's funny because they tease Julian about wanting to be a Juliana. So it's kind of cool that we're always bringing it back to Julian and Bubbles. Julian and Bubbles, they're always fighting, and I think that's part of the podcast. Which why the podcast is super cool. Okay, we have Jules. They're talking again about possible sponsor, but this time talking about a bar. They're asking for Rick ideal sponsor, and again he's talking about the horse, and the guy gets mad at him, or kind of mad at him, and saying, "Yo, forget about the horse. We're not gonna get a horse sponsor." So they're talking about sponsors like video games, and it's kind of cool because, again, this is free. There's a paid version. The paid version is you watch the show, you watch the actual podcast. But the free version is you just listen to it. And dude, they got really popular at that time. There were like millions and millions listening to the podcast. They were worldwide. Like I don't know how good the podcast is doing lately. The fact that it's still going on after 5 years is something I appreciate and love. We have the bar sponsor, Rick Ideal sponsor. We have the similarity between space and ocean. Ricky thinks that you can swim in space because it's like an ocean, and there's more similarity between ocean and space than we think so. We cannot we can't breathe in space. We can breathe in water. The boys are making fun of Ricky for being a conspiracy theorist, which Ricky probably isn't. But hey, who knows? I think if you want to lean in the character, I think Ray was more likely to be a conspirationist. But since Ray was raising Ricky, then it might be something you pass on to Ricky about this conspiracy, right? We got they're talking about Dog the Bounty Hunter versus the Chapo, and Bubbles kind of making fun of Doug, and he's like, "Yo, he always saying how he can take on anything," but then Julian's like, "Fuck it, he's gonna take on the cartels, and he has a pepper spray, so he can do shit." Then they talk about Ed Sheeran pooping on stage again. Not my favorite episode, but I think it's kind of cool that we're doing what we can. I mean, did we really have some interesting subject this week? Some would say yes, some would say no, but we still managed to make a show, and whatever is available this week, we'll take it. And that takes comedic, that takes talent to take anything and talk about it. That's why having a podcast is a lot of work. Is complicated, but I think it's a fun fact. I think, and already in second episode, we're getting the. It's funny because although I love Trailer Park Boys, I think the guys are leaning the character a little bit. So if your first introduction to the Trailer Park Boys with the podcast, you'd be lost. If you watch the show and then you watch the podcast, and you know what's going on. Just a food for thought. There's 400, so we won't be able to go back and change that, but still, amazing episode. Love you guys. Peace.